Unit number 6, Change in an Earth Surface quiz. Please type in your first name. Please type in your last name. Select your hour, second, third, fourth, fifth, or distance learning only. Question 1. Identify the following as examples of physical or chemical weathering. 1 is movement to glaciers. 2 is acids breaking down limestone. 1 is physical weathering. 2 is chemical weathering. 1 is chemical weathering. 2 is physical weathering. They are both physical weathering, or they are both chemical weathering. Question 2. Identify the following as examples of physical or chemical weathering. Number 1 is a stream wearing down a rock into a smooth shape. 2 is water in a crack of a rock freezing, then expanding and breaking the rock. 1 is a physical weathering, 2 is chemical weathering. 1 is chemical weathering, 2 is physical weathering. They are both physical weathering, or they are both chemical weathering. Question 3. Identify the following as examples of physical or chemical weathering. Number 1 is water abrasion. Number 2 is acid rain. 1 is physical weathering. 2 is chemical weathering. 1 is chemical weathering. 2 is physical weathering. They are both physical weathering, or they are both chemical weathering. Question 4. In the river below, which letter is pointing to the delta? Letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, or there is no delta in this river? Question 5. In the river diagram below, what is letter A pointing to? An oxbow lake, a meander, a delta, or a kettle lake? Question 6. How did the feature labeled letter A form? It was formed from a very large chunk of ice that broke off from a melting glacier. It formed when a meander eroded to the point where part of the meander got cut off from the main channel. The water comes from an underwater cave that has flooded, or none of the above. Which of the following is a list of landforms left behind from glaciers in Minnesota? Oxbow Lake, Kettle Lake, volcanic mountains. Striations on rocks, landslides, meanders. Striations on rocks, moraines, kettle lakes. Or none of the above are a list of evidence of glaciers in Minnesota. Question 8. As a glacier melts, large pieces of ice sheets break off. The large pieces that break off melt and form this glacial formation. Oxbow Lake, moraine, meander, or none of the above. This is a cross-section view image. Imagine the river cutting into the earth. The straight lines represent land features. What is the best name of the entire land feature that extends from point A to point B? The floodplain, the delta, the river valley, or the river plain? Question 10. This is a cross-section view. Imagine the river cutting into the earth. The straight lines represent land features. Question 10. What is the name of the land feature that extends from point C to point D? The floodplain, the delta, the river valley, or the river plain? Question 11. A steep wall of rock formed from weathering and erosion by wind and water is called a moraine, esker, floodplain, or cliff. Question 12. As a glacier moves, it weathers and erodes material. This material piles up in front of the glacier. When the glacier melts, it leaves this pile of till behind. What do we call this landform left by the glacier? Hint, Powder Ridge is an example of this landform. Esker, moraine, meander, Kettle Lake. Question 13. These scratches on bedrock show evidence of glacial movement. Striations, drumlins, erratics, moraines. Question 14. A large boulder or boulders or rocks dropped by a glacier is called what? Striations, drumlins, erratics, moraines. Question 15. The gradual wearing away or breaking down of rocks by abrasion is a type of blank weathering. Hint, this is lesson review question number 2 on page 27. Chemical, physical, oxidation, erosion. Please go back, check all your work before submitting this form. Thank you.